Hello and welcome to Coach Connect Live. I'm thrilled to be here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm going to give everyone a minute or two to join, settle in, grab a glass of water, a pen and paper, whatever you need to focus with us today and learn a bunch of things. And in the meantime, I'll introduce myself. My name is Eloïse Eonnet, and I am the director of Coach Connect here at the Muse and Fairygodboss. And for those of you who don't know what Coach Connect is, well, it's the place you can come to on the internet to find a career coach to help you take that next step in your career, whether it's finding clarity on what that next step even should look like, to building the resume and the LinkedIn profile that you need to apply, to working on your interview skills and your negotiation skills, but it can also be internally at your organization. How do you take that next step to really thrive within your existing career? And every month, I'm joined here by one of our fantastic coaches to talk about a subject that is interesting to you. And this month, I am thrilled to be joined by Anne M. Kelly, who is a treasure trove of knowledge and such a generous coach. And we're going to be talking about how to take the chaos out of the job search. So first and foremost, Anne, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, you are so welcome, Eloise. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Before we jump into our topic, I'd love to give you a chance to introduce yourself to our audience about you and your coaching. Would you share a little bit with us?
I'd love to do that. Thank you. So people always wonder, how do people become coaches? So I want to tell you that my career has actually had 3 phases, and this is actually the 4th phase. So first and foremost in life, I am a singer. So my background starts in the arts from when I was young through college. And then in order to live a lifestyle that I wanted, I got into advertising right out of college and worked in that field for about 13 years. After that, went into higher education. And what's common, a thread that pulls between the time in advertising and higher ed, is that I worked with all kinds of Fortune 10 to startups to solopreneurs in helping them build businesses and become what they want to be. On the MBA side, helping MBAs and BBAs, I taught professional development at a top 10 BBA school. I was the assistant dean of a number 2 part-time MBA program. And what that meant was going inside businesses and saying, what do the students need? What do they need to be successful when they come to your organizations? So I've always had this wonderful place where now I'm maybe on the stage as the singer, but outside of that, I get to be the behind the scenes kind of producing and helping people produce their careers. So my coaching is career coaching. And just as you described, we think of that often as when we're searching for a job. And then the leadership coaching is often when we're already in the job. What do we want to do? How do we get from point A to point B? And my style, which I always tell the clients, is you got to tell me what you need first, and let's talk it through, and then we'll test it out. But I have a bit of a direct way that I work with clients. So sometimes clients will say, I need help making this decision, and I can put something on the table for them, and they get to react to it. And then I always get to reject it because it's all about you. So you got to do what works for you.
Nice. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. And as you can all see and hear, Anne has such experience and is incredibly impactful to work with. So I'm thrilled to jump into this topic with you today, really taking the chaos out of the job search. So many of the job seekers that I've been talking to recently have felt overwhelmed not only by the job market out there that can be difficult to navigate these days, but also just about the process itself. There's so much information out there. There's so many rules. There's so many technologies. There's AI. There's resume building platforms. There social media, they're influencers, job boards, job bots, and then all these rules about applications, about interviews, about best practices around accepting offers. All of these things really just can create a spiral that's overwhelming for people and really make the process difficult. So, given that context, what advice or tips and tricks, approaches, structures do you have to share with our audience today to really help with that?
Absolutely. And you've just your description alone, I'm sure people who are here today, are your shoulders rising? Like, oh, search. So during this little time here, everybody just take a breath and relax, because I'm going to give you 3 solid tips, 3 different areas that you can focus on to help alleviate that chaos. And by doing that, what that should help with is, number 1, helping you feel more in control of your job search. Number 2, finding enjoyment in the process. And I know there's a whole bunch of people going, you've got to be kidding me. I'm going to enjoy it. We're going to talk about that. And then having a clearer mind so you can make decisions that serve you. So that's what I hope that you can get out of today. So with that, as we know, it is chaotic. And it feels chaotic in many ways because we come down to the first tip, which is control, getting control. We need to get control over our own job search. And the challenge of that, Eloise, is that we really enter into job search with a mindset of, uh-oh, this is gym class and we're lined up and nobody's going to pick me for their team and I don't know what to do. And we are in this, what we think is a position of inferiority. And, oh gosh, will I be selected? But we can look at that a different way. So the way to gain some control over that is, yes, this is about you looking at the organization too. It's about you saying, I do have things that I'm bringing to an organization that are very valuable. So let me see if I like what they're offering. That's one way to gain control, is not to have ourselves in a, oh, please pick me type of mind frame, but in a, okay, I want to find a place where I'm going to get to be me and I'm going to get to thrive. So that's part of control. The other part of control is when we pretend as though we have absolutely no control over the application and interview process. And that'll start with, well, my resume is not working because I'm not getting interviews. Well, it might not be that the resume is not working. There might just be a step. It might be that we need to keyword search optimize it. You have control over doing that. You have control over reading a job description. Seeing the word team pop out about 8 to 10 times should be a big clue of, what, they seem obsessed with team. How many times do I have that in my resume? And going back and vamping that part. Another part of the control that you actually have is people will say, oh no, can we have a meeting, Anne? It's an emergency because an interview popped up out of nowhere. If you are in
classic
for jobs, right? And then we can laugh about it because we all do it. Oh no, an interview tomorrow. And it should be great. This is awesome. I have an interview tomorrow. I had a client who was laid off in March. And when we got together, I said, okay, she said, I want to work on my resume. I said, I know. I said, but before we look at your resume, let's do a little bit of interview prep. And it was like, oh, am I going to get interviews right away? I'm not ready. I'm like, you're probably not. They're probably not going to be here in a week or 2 weeks. I hope they do. I hope so. Oh, I hope so. But we prepped early. So when an interview actually came up this week, this was the week that it was, I think I'm pretty good. I think I have to just make sure I'm not rusty. So you can prepare. Someone's going to ask you certain things in an interview too. This is where a coach can be very valuable. Somebody who can run the standard questions and help you shape your answers. So that's what I mean by taking control. For control, it's not listening to that narrative of, oh no, someone else is making the decisions. You're making those decisions.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. So what I'm hearing is, first of all, know the value that you bring to the table. So do that work to understand what you want. And that can be a whole challenge in itself, right? But that's super important to do ahead of time. And then understand the value that you bring so that you're actually looking for a match out there rather than hoping that they see all of that in you without you even knowing what it is, right? So that's the first thing. And the second piece, that I loved is that there is a process to all of this. And you can be ahead of that process, right? Rather than letting each step be this big flare of emotion or time or energy when it comes up, right? So that preparation ahead of time. I love that you start talking about interviewing even before the resume. I think that's brilliant because first of all, the work, it goes together, right? The interview and the resume content is going to be similar so they can influence each other. But really just starting those skill sets early, I think and that muscle memory early is such a wonderful way to approach that.
Yeah. And the second part that ties into that is time management, which ties into what you said about it's a process.
Uh-huh.
And it's not a difficult process in terms of what the steps are. Even from the employer side, we know what's going to happen. You're going to apply, they're going to look at applications. You might get a call, you'll be interviewed, then hopefully there's an offer heading into the table. So
Yeah.
this is the time that everybody gets to be a little bit of a project manager. So
Mhm.
if you think about your time, the thing that I want to make sure that you add into your time to help reduce chaos is that this is going to be time consuming work, and
Mhm.
it's going to take much more energy than what you used to do just going to your job.
Right.
So that's the part that I think adds the chaos is
Yeah.
I can sit down and say, "Oh my gosh, look at all these cool things LinkedIn sent me. Oh, I'm going to apply to all of these. Oh my gosh, I was at that summit. I was at the career fair for Fairygodboss, and I'm going to apply to 15 companies." Well, I'll block in my calendar. I might have blocked 2 hours. That's not at all realistic.
No.
It's more time than that. So my time
Mhm.
management is understanding one application could take 30 minutes. So I need to then block that time and I need to stick to that task and not get
Mhm.
distracted. So, the
Mhm.
Pomodoro technique is 25-minute increments. You might only be
Yeah.
able to focus for 25 minutes because our minds are racing when we're searching for jobs. Part of
Mhm.
that chaos is we want the two answers that nobody can give us. And the two
Mm.
answers are, when am I going to get a job? And where am I going to get a job?
Huh.
We can answer a whole bunch of other questions, but those two, that can't be our focus. Our
Mhm.
focus has got to be, and this is the third point, focus. So you have to think about control, you have to think about time management, and then we need our focus. We
Mm.
need to focus on what our task is at the time that we're doing it. So this means if you are applying to one job that day in that 25-minute block, just take everything out. Don't start doing what I've done, which is like, "Now where are they located again? Oh, I should map that today." I don't need to map quest where my potential interview might be in the day that I apply. So, this is sticking with where are we right now in the process.
Mhm.
Another part of that, something that creates the chaos is, as I said, it's that projecting out to what might be coming ahead way
Mhm.
too far.
Yeah.
So it's not unrealistic that clients will say, I'm thinking about applying to this job, but I'm not sure because I'm not sure about their work from home policy and I'm not sure about this spiral. There you go. It spirals, right? We have to keep bringing it back in. So it's
Mm.
it's getting perspective on the idea of this job is just here's a snapshot of what they think they want the person to do that they're going to hire, and
Yeah.
it is just like a billboard as you're driving past something, as you're seeing it on a train. It's just a billboard. It's a little bit of information to pique your interest. So you
Mhm.
fill out the application, and then all the steps in the process along the way are how you're going to get the answers to what you're looking forward to see,
Mhm.
is this what I want to do? So
Mhm.
that can also take some of the pressure and chaos out of it. No interview is make or break. If
Right.
I do something wrong here, that's it. You really can't do anything wrong either unless, you get really angry, you use awful language. Otherwise, having a moment where you can't think of an answer or realizing you have to say, "I'm really nervous. Can I just take a minute?" Oh, you just showed your humanity. Hopefully, the
Mhm.
people on the other side of the table will be lovely and empathetic. And in that moment of chaos, that might even endure them to you.
Mhm.
And it could
Mhm.
work in your favor. So,
Mhm.
these are kind of the things. It's control, time management, focus. And
Mhm.
the other part is it's doing what works for you. What
Mhm. Yeah.
works for you? So every person along the way, all your support team, everybody who really wants to see the best for you, they're going to have lots of advice for you, but all you need to do is smile. And if you get weary listening to it, you can say, "Okay, I've done a lot of job today. Maybe can we talk about this tomorrow?" And
Mhm.
then you leave aside any advice from anybody that isn't serving you. This is
Mm.
your
Mhm.
job search, and this is going to be your career and your work that you're going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. This is all incredibly helpful. You're basically creating structures to think about the job search that help you remain focused and calm and also feel that you are actually making progress. Because I think that a lot of this also, is the chaos feels that I'm not tracking my progress. I don't feel like I'm making progress, even if we might be, right? So I love what you're saying is, Pomodoro technique, take 25 minutes for a task and stop after that 25 minutes. And then you can take a break and start again if you need to, but really breaking your time up, tracking your progress, being realistic with what you can achieve. If not, of course, it's going to feel chaotic and out of control. So really, really nice. Yeah.
I said talking about finding enjoyment, right? So,
Uh-huh.
so enjoyment is about it's the celebrations along the way. So I always
Mhm.
tell clients, we have to celebrate the steps, the things that were in your control that you did. If we are
Mhm.
only going to buy cake, celebration cake, when you've already worked a week in the job, that's not enough cake. And we need a lot of cake in life.
Lots
So
more cake.
right, more cake. So we need to celebrate the fact that you did look for jobs. You planned for that hour, you did it. You may need to say out loud, good job, Anne. All right,
Mhm.
you look for jobs.
Mhm.
You do get a gold star for that. The
Yeah.
the positive speak out loud is going to counter a lot of what's going on inside that is
Mhm.
making you feel doubt or feel like, oh, this search wasn't helpful. So
Right.
that celebrating that is important. And then
Mhm.
the also part about the results that you're talking about, we're doing all these things and it's spinning and you've got interviews in different stages and networking. Oh, everybody stop telling me nobody responds. But we
Yeah.
have to think about there are going to be short-term results and long-term results from things we do in our job search. And a
Mhm.
short-term result might be that resume gets sent out and we get a phone screen or we get a you're being considered email. That's great. That's a short-term gain. A long-term gain is going to be you reach out to 10 people, one responds. That's not a failure. That's fantastic. First, you
Yeah.
did it in your control. You reached out. You get a
Mhm.
gold star for every single reach out. Buy gold stars if you need to. Make a chart. It helps. It helps for
It
small children.
does.
It helps us. It's wonderful. But you get the gold star for reaching out. And when you are connecting with somebody, we don't know about the reverberation behind the scenes. I've learned in previous job searches that it was somebody that I reached out to never responded to me, but they didn't want to. They were like, "Oh no, like is she going to be clingy? I don't want to talk to the person job seeking." But they went right to HR and said, "Hey, this person reached out to me. I don't know if that's helpful to you guys or not." And yeah, it was. HR was like, "Great, let's give them an extra gold star and we'll give her a phone interview."
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Nice. So
Yeah,
yeah, you don't always see the benefits of the work that you do, but if you can control it, it is an accomplishment, is what I'm hearing, which I love.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We have
So
a bunch of questions coming in
great.
from the chat, but there's I've seen a few that's come in, and I think that I just want to encompass them all into one first question, which is, and I've been seeing this a lot, that people have been on the job search for a long time at this point. Maybe there were layoffs happening 6 months ago, 9 months ago, and they're still struggling to find work. And the attitude there, and I totally connect to it, is I just need a job right now. Uh, and if I don't, and if I don't apply to every single thing that comes my way, I'm going to feel like I'm missing out, or I might have missed out on that one job that I should have applied to that might have gotten me a job more quickly. How would you speak to a client who comes to you with that information?
Absolutely. And I had that client actually yesterday, 9 months on a job search.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I say to people is remember, this is about you and it's what works for you. So there are times that you need to take a job that is not the end all be all. It's just the next step.
Yeah.
It's the next step that we're going to take. And that might mean that it's going back to something you've done before. It might be reconnecting with people that said, "Oh, if you need something in the interim, I have this for you." Any work we do is noble. Work
Mhm.
gives us purpose. Work is something that we all need in order to sometimes gain back energy.
Mhm.
So if we think, oh no, I've got to hold out, or it's, oh, but I was at this level, I can't take something at this level. You can. There are ways that we can put that on a resume that, again, it shows activity of what you were doing and how you spent this time during the job search. It also goes back to that thought that it is very tiring looking for work. It is not, oh, you're home all day, lucky you. It's tough. The
Yeah.
structure that work provides, the people interaction, that every so often you're going to be in a meeting and you kind of got to be on. That doesn't happen as frequently in the search. So we've got to be good to ourselves. It's also a good time if you're really feeling the, oh my gosh, this isn't working out. What can you do that you've wanted to do in life? So not, I'm going to drop huge sums of money and go get trained in something necessarily or learn how to fly because I've always wanted to do that. But is there something that you've wanted to do? This might be the time to do that. And I mean things like if you've wanted to, I want to hike more. Great. Hiking's pretty much free. So go hiking more because that will help you physically too. When I was in between jobs once, I realized the one thing I had always wanted to do, I wanted to work at a makeup counter at a department store. So I took just like 6 weeks and it was so much fun. It was awesome. And a couple clients came through. I'd been working in advertising. They're like, "You're here?" And I'm like, "I it's
Yes.
so much fun." They're like, "Oh, I love a job where I could just go home and I'm not having nightmares as I sleep." And I'm like, "I don't." And then that actually led also to connections to the next thing.
Mm,
So
mhm.
part of it is doing what you need to do. And then what's your strategy? So if it's 9 months and it's not there, your strategy could be spot on, but maybe it's time to pick up a different part of the job process. Maybe it is more networking or joining a professional association.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you. We only have a 10 minutes left about, so I'm trying to get through as many questions as we possibly can here. There's so many coming in. Let me see what I have here. Stephanie asks, what is or are the best ways to job search in a way that helps to avoid a toxic work culture, especially if that's an environment you left or was fired, laid off, etc. from?
Oh, Stephanie, I'm so sorry. And toxic work cultures, they take a while. They take a while to get past that.
Mhm.
I would say that one of the things you're looking at is you're looking and reading a job description and you're looking at the company and listen to that little gut instinct that you have. There's certain kinds of jobs that are written in a certain type of casual voice that I stay away from because it doesn't suit me. But I have
Mm,
clients and colleagues that are like, I love that voice. Oh, that's going to be great. And it's looking for the parts that just aren't resonating with you. While you go to interviews, it's asking for some real examples of culture
yeah.
and not just this canned, are you getting a canned response? Like, oh, we're
Mhm,
awesome. Every Friday, we do this at 3 p.m. on Friday. Well, that is there anybody that does something different at 3 p.m. Friday than go to the ping pong tournament?
mhm.
Is there a difference? What do you all celebrate here? Ask the questions and try to get as many opinions as you can. The most important thing, you are making the best decision you can with the data that you have and the
Right.
information you've learned in this search. So there is no
Mhm.
guarantee and you didn't miss something, nor is there blame if the culture isn't exactly what you think when you get to the organization.
Yeah, yeah. And you can't necessarily know, as you just said, from the job description. There's certain things you can infer, but it really does come if you have to kind of go through that cycle of meeting people and talking to them during
Yeah.
that interview process to really get that idea. Yeah, yeah. Um, Let me see here. Gail says, during such a challenging time in the job market, what do you recommend to maintain confidence? Some days it can be difficult to remain confident in career skills and accomplishments.
Yes, Gail, I love that. And Gail, remaining confident in career skills and accomplishments, having a gap in employment has taken nothing away from those accomplishments or those skills. They're
Mm,
all still there. It's very much like earning a certification. It doesn't go away. You've done that. So reminding yourself that you have done those things, one way that can be helpful to keep that confidence up is look at what your elevator pitch is. Look at your brand statement. Look at a job description and read it and say, okay, I can do this. I know I can do this. The question is, do I want to do this for this organization? And
Right.
again, you're talking about sometimes our confidence isn't there. So if we read the job description, we read it and we're skeptical. Oh no, yeah, I don't know. Well, they're saying this many years of experience. I guess I have. Nope. Read it with true, just, I know I can do this. So
Hmm.
I don't want to say fake it till you make it because it's not about being disingenuous, but you know you have great skills. We all know we're capable of doing great things in many organizations and many, many jobs.
Hmm.
So don't lose sight of that. Remind yourself that that is still there.
Hmm. And just to add to that, because it came to mind, and I love that so much, Anne, is that so many job descriptions are written for a superhuman,
Yes.
are written for someone who actually doesn't exist, right? Because they're like, oh, we wish this person existed. Let's just put it out there and see what we can catch, right? And so focusing, as you said, on the things that you know how to do in a job description, even if it's not everything, is a catch. It's a total catch, right? So really focusing on what you can do versus what you can't do, because no one is reading that job description and can actually do everything, most likely.
And even if somebody did, it doesn't mean they'd be the cultural fit. It doesn't mean that they're going to
Exactly.
person anyway. And then
Right.
we can go back to, facts that we know about how women and men look at job descriptions and
Mhm.
get into your mindset as a female. It's do you have 3 of the 10 things? Great. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
good. 3 of 10 is
Yeah.
great. Males the brain tends to look at it and they're like, I got 3 out of 10. Yay. And we look at it and we're like, oh no, 3 out of 10, I better not apply. Applying is merely saying, "Hi, I'd just like to learn more. Can we have a conversation?" It's not, "Please evaluate me. Do I not cut it?" It's just, "Hey, I'd love to learn more. Can we have a conversation?"
I love that. I love that. That's so great. It's so important to keep that mindset. I think we have time for one or two more questions. Let me see here. Violet asks, how do you stay positive when you're receiving decline emails?
Goodness. Isn't Yes, because that's not fun. Like, right when I said, "We're gonna find enjoyment in the process." You don't have to pretend that getting the decline, that we're gonna find some sort of enjoyment in that. But let's look at it from the outset. You are going to have far more declines than you are going to have phone screens. So the number is massive on the side of not moving forward in the process versus the actual phone screen that comes in. Think about Eloise and I were talking about theater before we came on today. Think about how amazing it is with actors. They go to audition after audition after audition after audition. And eventually parts are there because they're in the process and it's perseverance. They are not whistling the whole time and full of happiness while that's going on. It's just the fact of getting to where you want to go, to do the work, to find something that is meaningful. There will be a lot of rejection. So people have different mechanisms. I had one client that he bought cheap stickers and he's like, I just put a sticker on a board with a smiley face because it just gives me something to do. I had another client and the option there was, they're like, I literally just delete it. As soon as I see it's a rejection, I just immediately delete the entire email. And then they would go over to their sheet of company list in their Excel spreadsheet where they were keeping track of things, and they would put down the date that they heard back of the rejection. And then it was interesting because they were able to track and reached out at one point to the company and said, I've applied 5 times and been rejected 5 times. Am I truly not a fit for your organization? And they actually got a response from the organization that said, no, no, please keep applying. We love your perseverance and there may be a fit. So they actually got something positive out of it.
Mm, hmm. Yeah, yeah. I love what you're saying about looking at rejection as part of the process, and that it's actually, even though it's really hard, a step towards the job that you will eventually land. And then also looking at it as a tool. I saw on LinkedIn this morning someone who was like, I work at Google, and here are the 5 times I applied to a job at Google since 2016 or 17. And she listed, and she's like, and I'm here now, and look, I just kept doing it because I wanted it, and I looked at it as not a failure, but as just a part of this process. As it wasn't her wording, but I'm applying what you're saying to what her post, right? To what she shared is it was just the next step. I think that's really, really powerful and hopefully helpful to Violet and everyone else out there who have gotten rejections, as we all have in our careers. There are so many more questions here to answer, and hopefully what we can do is answer these on the Fairygodboss community for you all. So we're going to put them aside and try to get as many answers as possible to you there. So thank you for asking them, everyone. And thank you so much for all your knowledge, the lovely way that you think about career and development and the job search. It's so incredibly powerful and helpful to all the clients that you work with. So everyone, thank you for tuning in, and just know that Anne is on the Muse, is on Fairygodboss, is on Coach Connect, and you can work with her during your job search if it's helpful, for a 30-minute Q&A, for a resume review, for interview coaching, whatever you might need. So definitely check her out, and go to your follow-up email today. You have a 10% discount to any bookings with her. So don't miss out on using that in the next 2 weeks. And thank you again so much.
You're so welcome, Eloise. And everybody, you will have a job. We just don't know where or when. That's it.
That's it.
2 things. That's all. It will be there.
Wonderful. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you next month.